Alright, well, I'm getting ready to take this drivetrain apart here. 3 of these were already removed when it was removed from the unit. 4, sorry. Short one goes on the bottom left. Just make note of that for later. Take these 2 out here. And these 2 are the same length, so I'll just set those aside. See what it's going to take to get this apart. Got some spacer blocks wanting to come out. No problem. That's fairly straightforward. Old nasty grease, but they slung it all off, so this is going to get cleaned up and re-lubricated. I need to see what it's going to take to get these gears off here, and I'll make note of that. I just wanted to make note on the end of the shaft, there's a little washer, and they'll be on both sides of the bearing, so don't lose those. And then as well as there was one here, I'm sorry, right here, and I'm sure I'm going to find one underneath that as well. Alright, well, I believe I figured out how to get this one out. This gear is actually pressed on to this shaft, and then there's a bearing right here that's being housed by this plate. So I'm going to try to just tap it out with a hammer. Hopefully that'll work. Let's see here. I'm actually driving the bearing off the shaft, which is fine. So here's the inside gear. There's the little washer. And then there's this one. So now these are ready to be cleaned up. And this bearing here actually feels like it's in pretty good shape. So not going to worry with that. Alright, well, everything's been degreased and cleaned. So now we're ready to go back together with it. There's 2 gears. One is bigger than the other. The large gear is what we're going to start with. I'm going to put one of the washers on the back side. Just a little drop of 3-in-1 oil. And stick it in this hole right here. Make sure the washer doesn't fall off. So there's that piece. Now I'm going to press this back in, or hammer this back in. Hopefully. A little 3-in-1 on the shaft. Now you don't just put this in and go at it. You have to align the gear mesh between here and here. So I'm just going to start working it in with my hand until I get in that mesh. Now you can see I'm in the mesh. So I'm going to hold one thumb here to keep this from popping out. I'm going to try to massage this back in there. Looks like it's going in okay. Looking good. Hopefully you can hear that ringing. Means it's seated. Sorry about the camera there. So that piece is taken care of. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and drop the little washer on this one right here. Just like so. And I'll do the same thing with this one. But this small gear is going to go down on this one. So I'll put this on here. Give it a little light drop of oil. I'm just going through this in extreme detail now because, you know, it may help other people if they need to go into these machines and get it put back together without too much effort. So there's that part. The final little washer is going to go right here. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and just so I don't forget, put a little drop of 3-in-1 on these 3 shaft ends here. Now I'm going to lubricate it. I'm going to use this Milwaukee type E grease. I've had this stuff for probably 20-25 years. Seems like I have everything for 20 or 25 years, but this should be some real good grease to use. But any bearing grease would probably work. So I'm just going to let it work it around here. Get some in there. I'm not going crazy with it. This stuff sticks really well. Just a little bit there like that. Maybe just a little bit more. So do the outside of that one. I'm going to do this one here and let it take it around off my finger. Hopefully my hand's not in the way. You can hear how tacky this grease is. It should work really well for this. It's made for drill motors. And the last one I'll do is right here. And that's it. That's all I'm going to put on it. And I can always add more later if it does come off. Now these 6 stands here, these spacers, 2 of them have shoulders on them, or 4 of them, and 2 of them are shorter. I'm going to put in the ones with 4 first. And there's larger holes. They'll sit in there like this. Hopefully all this is picking up. Like that. I'm going to try to hold it up level. Okay, everything's on. It's just a matter of slipping this in first. Make sure they all go down in the holes. There, you can see I've done that. So now I'm going to slip one right in. I need to turn it over. I'm going to hold it and turn it over. I'm going to slip one right in the top. And go ahead and put one of the short screws in. Get that started with my fingers and get it snug. And the other one goes right here. Another one of the short screws. So now it's just a matter of tightening these 2 up. And that's all there is to that. It looks good. So we should have 3 longs and a short. Long, 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 short. So now this assembly is ready to go back in. Alright, well I was kind of cleaning the motor up and took it outside to blow it out, and seemed like there was a lot of junk in it, so I'm going to go ahead and break it open and just make sure it's clean because I don't want to burn it up. But I'm also going to check the brushes, and on either side you should have a slotted cap right here. Hopefully that shows up. I'm going to go ahead and take the cap off, and it'll want to get away from you, so because it's spring loaded with the brush underneath it. So there's the cap and there's the brush. I'm going to pull the brush out. Yeah, there's a lot of gunk in there with it. And what I'm going to do here is just make a mark up here for the top with a Sharpie, just so I can get it in there the right way again. And then I'll make a little F right here for the front brush. So that'll allow me to put it right back in the way it came out. The brushes itself, it looks like they've got tons of life left in them, or at least this one does. So no big deal there. And I'll take the other one out real quick. Yeah, that, I'm going to try to show you what I'm seeing here. I'm going to turn it this way while I pull it out, as it's just got a bunch of gunk holding it. That's the way I pulled it out. Do the same thing here. This will be the top. I don't need to mark. This is the back because I've already marked the front. And this one looks like it's got tons of life left in it as well. So I really don't think this thing was used all that much. So I'm going to determine how to get this in. I know these bolts are what I'm going to go for first. There's 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, these screws. And then we'll see what we need to do. This section may be helpful for anybody who needs to maybe change the bearings in their motor. These actually sound really good, but I was incorrect. There were 3 screws. There are 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom, but I couldn't remove this cover yet, and now I know why. So 4 more screws get you access to the switch. This thing was full of sawdust. You can kind of see the remnants of what I poured out of it. You guys know that these things, if it's not hermetically sealed, it's going to get stuff everywhere. And that's partly why I'm going into this. You know, I don't want this thing packed full of chips and smoke the motor. And, you know, I don't know the tool yet. It was not mine from day one. So I'm just getting familiar with it. So I've just taken the wire nut off and pulled this one lead here. The motor is run with 2 white leads. Kind of odd, but that's what it is. And let me see, black bottom. I'll go ahead and pull this one off just to get that switch out of the way. Switch obviously works. So hopefully you can see down in here, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to just fish this wire out the back as I start pulling this apart. There's a little hole that this bundle is coming through. There, it's starting to pull through on its own. Okay, and there's a little try to get these wires coming out. They're kind of going down a ramp. There, okay. And I've got 1 ground wire here on the motor. I'll just take that one off as well. Drop my screwdriver. Alright, well I didn't need to pull that wire. Comes out just like this. So now this has been pulled apart. I did accidentally tear my foam right here. It shouldn't be a problem. It has an internal piece that comes out. Didn't know that. So that's pretty much it right there. Like I said, it's pretty nasty on the inside. Hopefully you can see all this business. So I believe I'm going to need to take out these 3 screws right here, and this should come out the back. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, this rod I can just pull out.